Welcome back, guys. So I watched the Garbage Pail Kids movie, and let's talk about it. So the Garbage Pail Kids movie is from 1987. It is a movie that was made on $1 million budget and made 100 or it made 1 million.6. So this is considered one of the biggest flops ever. It is based on a series of trading cards that I remember seeing whenever I was a kid in the 90s, in late 90s, early 2000s. I remember seeing these little cards, and I thought they were gross, and I never cared for them. So, and I was always interested in like Pokemon cards whenever had a card obsession. But looking at this idea, because it's something that I didn't care about already with cards, and I found this movie at a store and bought it for free, even though it says $5. I got it for free, and this is gonna be in the recent pickups video I'm gonna do. But I had not seen it before, and I heard it's terribly bad, and I hear it's a cult favorite, and I watched it, and I just could not stand this movie. I was looking at it from like a cult standpoint, like maybe it's fun, maybe it's goofy enough where I'll enjoy it, because there's so many horror movies that I enjoy and love that are considered bad, quote unquote, but I enjoy them for being so goofy or so bad they're good. And this one, it's not a horror movie, but it might as well be with how freaky these animatronic looking heads are, or these puppet heads are. It's got all these little people who are dressed up with these giant ass heads, and they can't breathe apparently. And apparently, behind the scenes, they would film a scene or rehearse it, and then they'd wear the masks, and then for like 7 minutes until they couldn't breathe, and then they took them off. So this had a really low budget as well. It was only $1 million, which is crazy. Crazy with the animatronics they had and how bad they were. But I understand because it was only $1 million. But this movie has a story kind of where it's this kid. I already forgot his name. Generic, bland kid from the '80s, character, and he is being chased by these bullies who are like 30 years old. And why would they be chasing this kid still? Like, I don't understand. Movie didn't point that out. Movie didn't even point out that the kid had parents either. Like, I never saw the parents. He works in a shop for this wizard guy who has the magic pail that has all the Garbage Pail Kids in it that was released from space. And occasionally there's a plot in the movie, but really it's just a lot of the Garbage Pail Kids going around and wrecking shit and just going and being gross and disgusting. And it really, looking at the movie, it just feels like one of the most pointless movies I've ever watched. And I hate to say that, because usually I could find something positive about most movies, but man, I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand anything about it. I thought it was so boring, uninteresting. It was not a so bad it's good movie for me. I thought it just was so incredibly lame with the execution, with everything about it. Like I said, it's just a boring main character who falls in love with a boring girl who is part of a street gang of bullies that are like 30 years older than the kid. And it really is just, with those basic cliches aside, it's just boring and it's so uninteresting. And whenever it's got jokes in it, it's literally a joke that's used like 30 times. For example, there's one of the Garbage Pail Kids that will pee his pants. And he does this 6 or 7 times throughout the movie. And the joke was never funny the first time, but you just keep going and going and going and keep making the pee joke. Or there's a guy that farts, and that's all he does. He farts, and he farts a lot as much as the kid pees. Or there's like a girl who has snot on her face and her mouth, and she goes and just rubs it on everything, which is disgusting. And I know that's the point of the Garbage Pail Kids, but it didn't work for me. It just was not interesting or funny or entertaining at all. It just never fell into any category of that. And like I said, it's barely a movie. It's got a basic template of like this boring kid fall in love with this boring girl, and then they're fighting a street gang, and then the Cabbage Patch, or the not Cabbage Patch Kids, the Garbage Pail Kids, they go and just wreck shit, and they have a Stay Home for the Ugly where the Garbage Pail Kids are just sent to, and then there's like Gandhi and Santa there, and it's not funny. And there's a lot of people where it says they're too something in this Stay Home for the Ugly. There's somebody who's too tall, too bald, too fat. Santa's too fat in this jail cell. And then it's so weird with its message. Like, is the movie trying to say like all ugly people are equal to people who are pretty, and that's a good message, but I never felt like it did that because all the people do with these Garbage Pail Kids is call them ugly or make fun of them, or they put them in the stadium for the ugly. That kind of defeats the message of what I'm assuming the movie was wanting to be. Like if you're ugly, like you're still a person, and I believe that. But like this movie didn't really say that. It just made it seem like if you're ugly, you go to jail for nothing. That's pretty much what the movie was telling me. And also, it's just again, it's just so bad in everything that it does. That song that they have is so terrible. But it gets stuck in my head though because it's so awful that we can do anything as long as we're together, and it fell in that category of just a worthless movie. Like there was nothing that really was interesting or funny or anything that gave me any kind of emotion other than like disgust. And like I said, I know this is the Garbage Pail Kids movie. They're supposed to be disgusting, but who thought this idea was great? I guess it was just because in the 80s they had all these movies, and they do now still, of toys and fads and something they can try to make a quick buck on. And this one is definitely one of the worst executed, like, based on a product movie. Like, it falls in that category. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I could say about the Garbage Pail Kids. It was garbage, surprisingly enough. It was really bad. Pretty much all I could say. So, don't recommend personally. That's my review, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.